Welcome to MotoVida, where every journey is a declaration of freedom. Apparel designed for those who live on two wheels, merging quality, comfort, and style. Wear what you ride, and let the world see who you are with MotoVida.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Miguel, mi Motor 36. I'm here at the exclusive, the only one, Admiral Cigar Bar, 4940 New Broad Street in beautiful Baldwin Park. We are here today to do podcast 4. Can you believe it or not? And I know that recently a lot of you have been watching these podcasts, which we sincerely appreciate. We have done the last 2 in Spanish, but as again, I'm back doing them in English, and I'm sure a lot of you are happier. I've tried to sling hard that Spanish, but I think I did okay. But today is a really special podcast. One is that not only do I have a special guest, a personal friend of mine, but this is the first female rider that we have on this podcast, which is an honor for me. And the person that you're about to meet is not only, which is very unique, we're here at a military-themed bar. She is a Navy veteran. One of the most brilliant people that I know regarding, the way she interacts with everybody, what she does. She's also in the motorcycle business, and we're gonna get into that in the podcast. And without further ado, as an honor, I'd like to present to you all Janie Murphy.
Hi, guys.
So Janie, as I've known you for about almost 4 years,
I met you. That long,
it has been that long, and I met you, of course, at the dealership, which a lot of you don't know. Janie is the director of finance at Ducati Sanford, Sky Power Sports, BMW Sanford, all the brands Indian of Sanford. She's in charge of all of the financing. So that is how I got to meet her, because she personally does all my deals for me. So you get to know somebody really well in finance when you buy that many bikes.
A lot of bikes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into first. Let's talk about a little bit about yourself and let us know how you got into this life on 2 wheels.
Sure. So the where I'm from question is always a tough one. My dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
So my birth certificate is actually in Italian.
Really? So I take it you were born in Italy.
I was born in Naples, Italy.
Oh, wow.
And just grew up moving all around. Now, my dad was actually a motorcycle guy.
Okay.
So one of my first memories of a motorcycle, I couldn't have been more than 4 or 5. And he had, I want to say it was a Suzuki Cruiser that he had. And Mom was out and about doing something, so it was just me and Dad. And he puts me on the back seat, and he's like, "I'm gonna go for a ride." And so he tells me to hold on as tight as I possibly can. Oh, I had a giant bobblehead helmet on. I don't even know what good it would have done, to be honest. But
okay.
And it was just through the neighborhood. Like, we didn't go on any main roads, but that is the first memory of absolute bliss, I think, that I have.
Really?
It was
so
wonderful.
that's what hooked you right there. You never forgot that moment.
Never forgot that. And so just growing up, when I'm old enough, I'm gonna get one.
And you remembered that memory at 4 and 5. It engraved in your head.
Absolutely.
And I tell everybody on these podcasts that it just takes one moment to literally get hooked on the life on 2 wheels. It really is incredible when I hear stories like that, because we all have one. Eventually we have that experience. And after that happened, how long did it take you? What age did you start riding?
So let's see, it was probably 2011 when I actually bought my first bike. So I don't know, what is that, 10, 13 years ago?
Okay.
And I was living out in Corpus Christi, Texas, but I worked in Kingsville, which is a good 50-mile ride. Mm-hmm. And I had a pickup truck that was not so bueno on gas mileage. And that was when gas prices went up to almost $5 a gallon the first time.
I remember that very well.
So it was, I think, that kind of pushed me. I was like, what have I been waiting for this whole time? So I went and I bought a V-Star 950 Tour.
Nice.
And
Very nice bike.
Loved that bike. I felt like I could ride it cross country. It was so comfortable.
And the gas was amazing.
It was fabulous. It was absolutely amazing.
Another benefit of owning a motorcycle, most people in a lot of countries, even the people that are filming me have been all over the world, and a lot of people ride motorcycles. Why? Because everybody cannot afford a car, and petrol is expensive, as they call it over there, and they buy motorcycles.
Very expensive. And so I'd, just ride my bike down those Texas roads, and I was like, man, I don't know what took me so long.
Oh, after you got the motorcycle and you started learning, were you a little bit concerned to get on a bike? You're in Texas, it's a big state, a lot of people. What was it like?
So I should probably tell you how big of a bite I took.
Okay,
right?
let me sit up straight for this one.
I had never ridden a motorcycle in my life, but my truck was a stick shift and I could ride a bicycle. I'm like, how hard can it be? So Miguel, I bought this brand new bike and I had no idea. The first time I ever rode a motorcycle was riding my bike off the lot. So I'm with a buddy of mine is on his bike and, I stopped to go, no problem, get out of the lot. I didn't know where the shifter was. So I'm in first gear and I'm yelling, how do I shift? He's like, it's your butt.
So you leave the dealership, you have no idea how to ride this bike, but you're gonna go ride it. We just had a story like that. Armando, Man Von Drake, who's not here today, he's predisposed today, but he learned from YouTube. It's incredible. So you basically were starting from scratch.
Absolutely.
What did the salesman think?
That he had the easiest job ever, because I walked in and said, I want that one.
But was he nervous when you took off?
So he actually did try to convince me to start with a smaller bike.
Of course.
But, I'm riding on a 70-mile-an-hour road through Chapman Ranch with 40-mile-an-hour crosswinds. Like, I needed something
power
sturdy.
And power.
Exactly. Not trying to get blown all over the place. So he did try to, start me off smaller, like more in a comfortable wheelhouse. But at that point, Miguel, I was determined. I had my mind made up and no one was talking me out of it.
So you've been riding for a little bit over 12 years.
Correct.
Give or take. Can you tell us what was one of the moments? We all have a moment where riding, and could be the sunset, could be you're riding by the water. What was the moment that you really disconnected and you're like, this really takes me away from everything when I ride this bike?
It was a moment in Texas, going down this Chapman Ranch Road. And it was just one of those days where, like, God colored with Crayolas that day. The sky was bluer than blue. The fields were greener than green. And I had my earbuds on before the sound systems were a thing. And a certain song came on by the Beatles. It was Instant Karma.
Oh, you're kidding me. Really?
And so it was beautiful, perfect temperature, beautiful colors, and this song came on, and it was everything I could do not to just let go of the handlebars. I was flying so high on life in that moment.
Incredible. And, you have a pretty stressful job. You're very busy a lot. Do you consider, I know you have a lot of hobbies, but do you consider the bike as one of your major stress relievers when you can do it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's everyone who rides knows they've got those certain roads in certain places where they can really get into good turns or get away from traffic and just, again, kind of, I guess, let your hair down, for lack of a better term.
Have you noticed in the last 11 years how many more female riders are coming about and riding now, getting more involved? Because you obviously work in the industry, and we're going to get to that. You see them coming in. They're purchasing more. They're doing things. Yes. I've always been impressed by, it's not that, when I'm riding, there's a lot of group of guys. And, you can kind of get bored of looking at a bunch of guys on a bike after a while. But when you see a pretty female or any female riding a bike, you're like, wow, now that's different. And then, I had an experience where I, at one point, had a Street Glide Harley, and I pulled in to a dealership here in Orlando to just stop. So I was looking behind, and the next thing you know, like 40 women pulled up on Harleys, but they were so humble, they got off, and I was just looking. When one lady came up to me, I'll never forget her name. Her name was Cheryl. She's like, honey, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. And I'm like, I've never seen 40 women. Where are you guys from? And she's like, oh, we just rode in from Atlanta. I'm like, Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm complaining down the road.
No, I'm complaining about riding from home 20 miles, and they're like if it was going to 7-Eleven. But they were like, I asked them, and I said, which is really ironic that we're doing this podcast. I go, so what does it do? What does it do for you? I wanted to find out. She's like, honey, I'm free. I'm free on these two wheels. And that, I never forgot that moment. So I'm like, well, they're living this life. And believe it or not, from that lady, that's how I came up with Life on Two Wheels. Because she's like, honey, I'm free on these two wheels. And it's true. It's crazy how a piece of machinery, gasoline and metal, can change our lives. I said it before on my prior podcast that my wife is like, you'll leave out of the house sometimes in a really bad mood, but when you come back from the bike, you're a whole different person. Yeah. And I said, well, it's what that thing does for me. It's the control, it's the feel, the wind, the
motorcycle
music,
magic.
Everything, It might sound exaggerated, but until you try it, it's true. And, getting back to you as a female rider, and you have all this experience riding in Texas and all that, what could you tell female riders out there that want to start riding a motorcycle?
Don't put it off. Don't put it off, because when you do finally take that step, you're going to think, oh my gosh, I wasted so much time. Like you said, you see so many more female riders now compared to before. It's, been a pretty much male-dominated world, and I absolutely adore it. The female rider groups, the female rider day, your
which 40, you go to.
Your 40 rods from Atlanta,
right.
know.
And you're involved with some female riders too, right?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I'm always honored to hear these kind of stories on this podcast, educating and telling people. And basically, in a nutshell, she's saying, don't put it off. We all understand that there is fear in it. Everything is
correct.
Like anything, even driving a car. But if you don't, I guess we can say, since you're from Texas, if you don't get on the horse, on that saddle, you're never going to do it. You have to take it in baby steps. I mean, I have all these amazing stories of people like you, Megan Von Drake, my brother-in-law, who moved here in 2005, true story, never rode a motorcycle in his life. He goes to Harley with me, buys a Sportster, can't even ride it, parks it at my house, and then one day I'm working on a car, and he's like, you got to show me how to ride this. I kid you not. He got on that bike in my neighborhood, rode to the end of the street, and then I said, okay, I get on my bike and I follow him and I go, and then we're out of my neighborhood, and now we're down Claricona Ocoee Road, and the next thing you know, we're all the way on Lee Road, and the next thing you know, and I give you my word to my audience, he was on I-4 by the end of the day. It was a natural thing, and he's like, I'm never gonna give this up. This is where I need to be. So, getting back to female riders, MotoVida Apparel is a very strong advocate for female riders. We encourage it. We want people that have always had that maybe I should, try it. There are a lot of avenues, there are courses, there are teachers, instructors that can teach you all. Get out there, live your life on two wheels. Of course, we would always love you all to support us. Go to motovida.net, grab a shirt, wear what you ride. And all I can say is more than anything is that always be safe and respect the road. The road's always going to win.
It will.
The road will win. The road will win. So getting back to a little bit about Janie, tell us a little bit now of your career, which you are involved with motorcycles.
I am. So I started out on a sales floor. I've been in industry for 10 years now, I realized this morning.
Riding 11 and in the industry 10.
Started out on a sales floor, and it was like jumping into the ocean and trying to see every single drop. I had no idea how many different, not only makes out there, but then all the different models, the different types of bikes. I grew up around mostly cruisers, and a lot of people do this, like we just kind of call it the Harleys, if you will, but there's so many different other types of cruisers. There's different types of bikes. Even now I've got completely different types of bikes. And then I was at a training in Atlanta, I think. Great place for motorcycles, I guess.
Yes.
And I met the folks from Sky Power Sports. And then, so I go back to my little town in Texas, some time goes by, and I hear that Nate is building this grand store.
And it is.
It
is a grand store.
Oh, it's huge. It's fabulous. And he's building it from the ground up. And so in my mind, that means staffing it from the ground up.
And so the audience just knows what that point is that Janie is the director of finance for Sky Power Sports of Sanford, Ducati of Sanford. Not only does she does finance at the very beginning of the early stages, she ran that dealership and got it off their feet. So for a lot of the audience members that don't know this, I have actually interacted with her because I am a major pain to her when I buy my motorcycles. She has to do all these special things and I drive her nuts. I call her 3 or 4 times a day. However, I can say this, what she does, and I have been around this motorcycle industry now, I'm up there in age and I've had quite a few bikes, but I have never seen any more professionalism, follow through, actually caring about when you purchase a bike. Questions. It's all the follow through, and I really highly recommend. She has a great team of people. I believe we have Jesus there that does finance, and now they have another dealership, which is at DeLand Motorsports, and they have a gentleman that she groomed, whose name is Lorenzo, who you groomed and trained. So what I can tell you is you're going to get a great experience when you go see her, because 90% of the chance you're going to walk in her office and she's going to help you with financing. And I can assure you, if she can't get it done, nobody can. Nobody can get it done. Because if you don't mind, can I say a story really quick here? I've said it before. We had a friend of mine that came in to buy a bike. I don't know if you remember the girl. Her name was Sana. She bought a Honda Rebel. Yeah. Now, this was a catastrophe because the girl had a bad experience at a prior dealership. This has to do a lot with Life on Two Wheels because this girl wanted to be Life on Two Wheels. She really wanted this motorcycle, and a female rider as well who's very young. And she said she really had to have this bike. Well, there were a lot of obstacles, and I mean
definitely obstacles to put it nicely.
Correctly. And these obstacles were like, it ain't gonna happen. I can assure you, everybody was involved in this deal. Her, the owner, many other people. I don't know how they did it. It took the whole day, but they made it happen. So at the end of the day, she went out of her way to find every resource. And I'm telling you, some people will just move on to the next customer because it wasn't even a big deal. It was a small deal. It was more work, honestly, than would be worth their time. But they're like, no, we're gonna make this happen. And it tells you that, she's proud of being a Life on Two Wheels. She is a motorcycle rider, so she's probably thinking, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna do everything I can to get this girl on a bike.
We try to make dreams come true.
Correct, and it's not a line of BS. It's literally saying, we're gonna do everything we can. Of course, everybody wants to sell. We gotta make a living. But let me tell you, it's not easy to get into a motorcycle sometimes. She runs into a lot of obstacles, and I really want you to tell the audience how difficult it can be, the obstacles, insurance.
There's a lot of red tape. Motorcycles, they're what's called a high-risk luxury loan.
Okay.
Because when I first moved into finance, I was like, why is this so difficult? And I had an underwriter explain it to me, and it's pretty simple. If you've got a house, a car, and a motorcycle, what are you going to default on first when times get tough?
The motorcycle.
So they are considered a luxury loan, also very high risk to lenders and insurance companies. And so when you're financing a motorcycle, the banks that are giving you the money, they want that full coverage insurance because they want to make sure they're not completely out should the worst happen. So then you're dealing with insurance companies, okay? And I feel so bad for the 22-year-old male on a sport bike trying to get insurance.
And how do you, I know you want to make everybody ride, but what would you tell our audience members, for people here, that want to have a Life on Two Wheels? What would you recommend to them before they come and attempt to buy a motorcycle? What should they have? What kind of ducks do they have to have in a row?
So unfortunately with motorcycle loans, they want to see some kind of previous installment history. So I love that credit cards are a thing. Parents are having their kids as authorized users. That does start you a credit card score, but some kind of an actual car loan or a personal loan, they're looking for about a year of experience with that just to make sure that, these people are capable of making their payments on time, of taking care of the collateral. So I definitely recommend, and if you can't get your own car loan, it's easier to get a cosigner onto a car loan than it is a motorcycle. So then when you do go for the motorcycle, that's already there.
Your interaction with the owner and your sales staff, you probably cross-train them to tell them, we have to be telling people to be realistic of what they're trying to do, correct? Because when I started out, of course, my first motorcycle was a Sportster, but I know what my limitations were.
Right.
I couldn't just walk in and go, give me the electric line. Is it a frustrating part for a lot of the audience members out there is that you got to be realistic to what you're going to get. You can get a used bike, you can start off. But the difference here is, in my experience in motorcycle purchasing, living this kind of life, when I've gone to her, you're going to get reality. They're not going to offend you and say, no, we can make. That's the worst thing that I hate, when people say, we're going to make it happen. I don't like false promises. And I can tell you, she would not want that either when it comes in there and they're like, well, they told me this. And I've experienced that. So it's so important. And I know maybe some people out there will kill me, but if it comes from the finance manager's mouth, it's golden. Because that's the reality when you purchase a bike. They're doing their best to get these bikes out of the showroom. But if it comes from that finance manager, 99% of the time, that's what your payment's gonna be. That's what you're gonna get. Not saying that you have to deviate around them, but I'm sure she's always telling them, hey, tell my customers the real deal.
Right, and that's one of the things I absolutely adore about where I am right now is it's a huge group effort. Everyone comes together, we do our things. So, honestly, when it comes to getting the financing, I'm kind of just a middleman. I'm a matchmaker. I look at a credit profile and I know what my banks need and I try to have something come together. So sometimes we do have that customer that comes in that says, I want a brand new V4. And I can't break someone's heart. I can't do it.
And that's great, Janie, because that's being honest.
So what we do is, have a little bit of a sit down, and here's where we've got to talk realistically about what we're dealing with. Like, we want to get you on a bike. Maybe that V4 is in 2 or 3 bikes. For now, this is the range that we need to be looking in.
What is the ratio? Do they usually listen to that, or do they just say, no, I want that bike?
9 out of 10 people are very receptive, actually. Good. I think they appreciate, just being leveled with. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of places out there that they are just all about, getting that tick mark on the board, selling the bike. They don't care about this kid coming in who can't afford this bike and he shouldn't be buying it. They just want to sell it. Mm-hmm. And that's not how we do things.
Okay.
At all.
And basically, we talk about a lot of topics here. We have a great guest here, a female rider here, experiences how she got into bikes, the story of her father getting her on the bike, the memory, and now she's in the industry. She's taken her passion. So as you can see, there is like dots that we're connecting here. It's a story of everybody. It started from her dad putting her on that bike, and it just kept going. It's like a domino effect, and people have no idea that, and they'll laugh, what a motorcycle can do to somebody. It's just like my sons. They're never gonna forget. I've said this story before in both languages. On the last day of school 2 years ago, I took my son to school, and he's like, I really wanna go to school on a motorcycle. I said, okay, are you sure? And he goes, yeah. I called the principal. They said it was fine. I take him, I put him on the back of my Monster. It's the last day of school. He is like on cloud. I gave him his helmet. I never forget, a gentleman in an electric car came up to me. He goes, why did you bring your son on a motorcycle? And I looked at him dead in the eye and I said, because he's gonna remember that he came to school on a Ducati. He's not gonna remember that he came in a toaster. And that's the truth. He's not gonna remember that. He's gonna remember that experience with me. And I'm not saying motorcycles are for everybody, but before you knock it, don't knock it until you try it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like anything in life, Life on 2 wheels is a whole different life than on 4 wheels. It's different. I've made that example here. So with that being said, and we've covered all that, talked about your beginnings, your career, I want to expand a little bit more on your career and
Okay.
what the impact that you have made, that you think that you have made in the motorcycle industry.
Oh, honestly, the biggest thing I can hope for is that everyone who has come into my office and signed their paperwork is left grinning from ear to ear. You know, that they stay with their dream, they stick with it, and they spread it around to other people. You know, it's again, it's an entire group effort, it's a family thing, and we are essentially a family, and word of mouth is our biggest friend. So you left here from Sky Power Sports, and you know, Dave got you on a bike and Janie got you financed. You're going to go tell your friend, and
Yes.
now I've got a friend.
And how she's saying this, you know, to kind of advance more of the podcast, is that we can talk about a lot of places, but you are a family at these dealerships that she represents, which is Ducati Sanford, BMW of Sanford, Indian of Sanford, Royal Enfield of Sanford, of course, all the brands that she has over there that she represents. It's the way that they have constructed that building, it's just walls and beautiful decorations, but it's the people inside that really make you feel, hey, we're gonna make it a good experience. Because remember, we're gonna spend money, we're taking a risk getting on something. It's a very big decision. It is what you called a high risk
Yes.
to banks. So I look at it as, if you get a bike and you get approved, it's a privilege. It's a privilege because they don't have to do it. They're like, okay, Miguel's approved. Yeah, I hope, you know, if something happens with him in his house, he's gonna let that bike go, or he's gonna sell it. So I get that. So relish the moment by owning a bike. You know, support everybody. Watch when you ride. Pay attention. There's people on a motorcycle. You know, respect all riders.
Yes.
You know, encourage more people. You know, if you see a female rider, let me tell you something. I have so much utmost respect, and I'm gonna say this as a, you know, as a person, a father, a husband. There is nothing more impressive to me, and I always have told my wife this, that a woman can do things twice as better as a man. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they can adapt to everything. And they've been told all their lives you can't do that. But let me tell you, they can do it, and they can do it better. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but they can. I'm a big, proud fan of female riders. And MotoVida Apparel will always support all women riders from everywhere around the world, wherever you're from. We have a line of shirts called Las Corredoras, which means in Spanish, lady riders.
I love your apparel, by the
And
way.
she's wearing one of the shirts right now, naked bike, which she rides a naked bike. And for a lot of you that don't know what a naked bike is, it's basically a sport bike without fairings on there. And it's just a very big trend right now. It's a very popular trend. They're like really popular, more than I think most bikes now. They're selling them like hotcakes because you get the power and the feeling of a sport bike, but you're more of in an upright position and it's more comfortable. This is more here. It's one of my personal bikes. This is a cruiser. It's a Diavel XS, and it gives me the feeling of a Harley, but on steroids. So I literally adore riding this motorcycle at my age. Instead of being slouched down, I'm sitting upright. It's just an all-around bike. So when you do go to Ducati Sanford, BMW of Sanford, Sky Power Sports of Sanford, all the brands they represent, there is going to be a machine in there that's gonna represent you. Your life on two wheels by getting what you feel. And then if you get bored of that, there's always plenty of other life on two wheels. There's always flavors. I look at motorcycles like a bag of Skittles. They're all different colors and all different flavors, power, speed, cornering, you name it. When I sit up here, I'm very passionate about this. I still am. I see it in my son's little eyes when he looks at me. I gotta ride today, Papi. I gotta get on that motorcycle. It's good. I'm honored again today to have you on this show.
Thank you.
You're such a great person, and I mean that. And when you do all go out there and see them. You know, Nate Stickney's the owner of these dealerships. He's done such a tremendous job. You have David Pizer, who has built something amazing at Ducati Sanford.
Oh, yeah.
As you all know, they are the #1 dealer in North and South America. A massive feat to do in 3 years. John Coe, all the salesmen at Sky, I can go on and on. Parts, service. this is a good destination to go to. Maybe we sound biased, but this is my show, and I can represent who I want to represent, and no pun intended to anybody else. But I endorse these dealerships because there is a product of it. She started out young, had a memory, took it, and her passion is in there, like mine. I thought by doing apparel, I could give something back. Comfortable shirts made here in the United States. We also provide custom shirts, however your liking is. We're gonna keep growing. We're gonna keep showing people that life on two wheels is not just about an apparel company. MotoVida is a culture. We are a movement, and we want to join everybody together internationally and domestically. We want it all, and let people know that we are humbled and grateful to all of you. The most important thing than anything is we want you to be safe on your bike, we want you to respect the road, and we want you to come back home.
Always.
And we are, again, me and Janie here, we tell you right now, we thank you for everything, for accepting us, listening to us. And I just want to say to end this podcast, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm thrilled again, and we're going to do it again.
Okay.
We're going to do it again.
Love that.
And remember, everybody, it's not riding a motorcycle. It's life on two wheels. Have a good one. God bless you. Remember to go to, if you have any questions, go to info@motovida.net. Go to motovida.net for all our apparel, our website. We have a variety of what you need. If you don't see something you like, email us and let us know. And also, go and visit Sky Power Sports of Sanford, Ducati Sanford, BMW in Sanford. Go look at them, go in there. I guarantee you one of you are gonna roll out of there with a life on two wheels. God bless, have a good one.